The Canucks smoke the Flames 8-1. Rink Wide Vancouver returns for another season, and there's lots to talk about from the beatdown in Cowtown. We welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio in downtown Vancouver. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Rinkwide is back. I'm Jeff. He's Irf, and what a way to kick off the new season. I know it's preseason, but come on. 8. Yeah, 8. I need 2 hands. 8 goals in an 8-1 victory. Rinkwide brought to you in part by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION to get you started. A reminder, you must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. How are you?
Great.
Even better
when I turn my mic on.
There we go. Hey,
I'm great.
Preseason.
I couldn't wait to come and do this with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, it's exhibition action, so ultimately the result doesn't matter. It's still evaluation mode, but there were a lot of things that we and I think Canuck Nation wanted to see, and boy, this hockey club checked off a bunch of boxes. If you're the Calgary Flames, maybe a few concerns with just one preseason game to go before you open in Edmonton against Connor McDavid and the Oilers next week, and then make your way here to Vancouver to face the Canucks on October the 9th. This one started nicely for the Canucks. That looked like 40-goal Brock Besser going in on the breakaway after taking the feed from Quinn Hughes. What a pass. The captain, I thought he looked like he was in midseason form last week against Seattle, and he just dialed it up a notch. I don't know if he will play on Friday. I don't think he needs to play on Friday. He might, but what was it? Telecast showed 82-foot pass or something onto the tape, and Brock Besser made no mistake, and you love to see it. I mean, you want Brock Besser feeling good about himself in his game heading into the season. That was a snipe show.
That's a no-doubter, and I think that that's exactly what you want to see if you're a Canucks fan, if you're the coaching staff, if you're anyone that follows Brock Besser, signed a big contract, showed no ill effects of that. But that pass, obviously, we've grown very accustomed to it, seeing Quinn Hughes do that at ease on a lot of nights. But that night just wasn't done there for the Canucks captain.
No, not at all. And I think most people, look, and we'll get into a lot of the player evaluation here, but when I said people wanted to see something, Elias Pettersson, the forward, I was looking at you because he was all right against the Kraken last week in his first preseason game. The power play was zipping it around, and ultimately it produced the game-winning goal. But individually, there wasn't a whole lot there in EP40's game. Irf, I am going to feast on the memory of that one-timer on the power play. Turns out to be the game-winning goal. It was the 2-0 goal in this hockey game. Flames only get 1, so there's your GWG. But I think that that had a lot of people that watched this Canuck team closely exhaling just a little bit that it's there. He's still got it. We ought to see it a whole lot more as the season unfolds, but it was a thing of beauty.
There are signs in it, and I know it was just a preseason game. It was a power play goal, but there are signs in that goal. I mean, Quinn Hughes gets the puck, gets up along the boards, and then he comes back to the center. And then Elias Pettersson getting into shooting position, skating backwards a little bit, getting ready to release that shot. I mean, Rasmus Andersson was not blocking that shot at all on a preseason game. Nope. But the fact that Elias Pettersson got everything he wanted and more. This angle is great from the Canucks, by the way. Behind the net, you see Petey just peel off right into the back and absolutely there. Low glove, no doubter. And that's one of the things that if you're a Canucks fan watching this team, you hope you can see night in and night out.
That was confirmation that Ivan Provatov was in net, actually, for parts of this hockey game. Not his best night if he's bidding for the backup job there. I joked online that Dustin Wolf was just building his MVP case in Calgary by sitting this one out. Look, preseason is preseason, but if you're a goalie, you want to stop pucks, and you certainly don't want to get ventilated the way that Provatov did. And then I felt for Devin Cooley, who comes in cold in the second period in a 5-1 game that his team clearly wasn't invested in. He faces a power play right away, and then moments later a penalty shot. Now, he did make the save on Petey on the penalty shot, but still a tough way. I still don't know why they don't like give goalies a 30-second warm-up. Let them feel the puck in the preseason when they have to come in cold. We saw Ty Young in Seattle in the preseason opener. That's tough, especially now into the second week where these guys are ramping things up. So sort of felt for Devin Cooley coming in relief. Canucks may see him if, in fact, he gets the job as the backup for the Flames, because Calgary starts in Edmonton on Tuesday on Wednesday, and then comes to Vancouver on Thursday. So a pretty good chance that the Canucks will avoid Dustin Wolf, as they have done twice here in the preseason. Didn't see him out in Abbotsford, didn't see him in this one, and I doubt that they will see him on October the 9th.
You know what would be an interesting one? I mean, they're probably going to avoid him, but it's early enough in the season.
It is.
Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if Wolf went back-to-back just to start the year for those guys.
Yeah, no, I think there's a couple of scenarios too. Like, if it goes sideways in Edmonton, you get him out and keep him fresh, and
or if you somehow win.
Well, there's that too. Maybe I shouldn't default immediately, but it is the home opener for the Oilers, and we'll see what happens there. But this is a Canucks post-game live stream, so let's get it back on track here, because I didn't expect Tyler Myers and Derek Forbort to be scoring goals in this hockey game. Forbort with a short-handed goal that made it 4-0 late in the first period of play. Myers got the fortunate bounce. At one point, it looked like maybe it was Archie Baines' goal, but it was credited. It went off Nazem Kadri. So it was Myers' goal. And it was just good to see Tyler Myers back in there. He played the game in Abbotsford and then missed 3 straight practices, clearly dealing with something, but was back in the lineup. And look, I think just about everybody. And hard to pick a Canuck that didn't pull his weight in this hockey game, and so it's good to see the veteran Myers work a little rust off and get back in there and look like he's going to be healthy. A tiny little bit of concern in that Derek Forbort only played 1 shift in the third period. We've seen already here in the preseason the Canucks not messing around. Connor Garland was given a maintenance day. Thatcher Demko took a maintenance day. We talked about Myers. And so you hope that it was just precautionary, that if Forbort was feeling something, let's sit him down. No point to play him over the final 20 minutes. So he did have 1 early third period shift, and we'll see if there's any sort of update as this night moves along. All right, let's get to some of the evaluation here individually, and we'll tie that in with the 3 stars here on Rinkwide as well. And the 3 stars are a presentation of Greta Bar YVR, and that's going to be home to Canucks Army watch parties again this season. Even some talk about a live Rinkwide down at Greta at some point. We're working on the details there, but we do know the date of the first watch party, and it's game number 2 for this Vancouver Hockey Club. Saturday, October 11th, Vancouver at Edmonton, first road game of the season. So hopefully you can make plans to join us for the watch parties all season long. Always a good time to get out and watch games with fellow Canuck fans. And, of course, Greta makes it a great night out. The street food menu, the arcade games, the weekly drink specials. Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. All right, first star. And a guy that's battling. I think he's, just by the nature of the fact he plays center ice, he's probably making the opening night lineup, but he hadn't done an awful lot through 2 periods the other night in Edmonton, and then he scored, and then came out with a vengeance in this hockey game. Aatu Räty, his best showing in the preseason by far. This looked like last preseason's Aatu Räty. You may remember made the opening lineup. He was there on night 1 because he had a great camp and a preseason. Look at Räty's night. Under 13 minutes of ice time. But I make this point all the time in the preseason. Whether you get 23 minutes or 13, do something. Make yourself known. Aatu Räty with a goal. He drew the penalty that led to the power play that he scored on late in the second period. He had 2 shots, 5 attempts, and his true calling card is the face-off prowess, and he went 10-4 in the circle. So he didn't play a ton, but in those minutes, Aatu Räty left an impression. I don't think there's much doubt for star here on Rinkwide.
Yeah. During this preseason, Jeff, you've been to a lot of the practices and games and obviously watched this team very closely. No one really grabbed the preseason by the throat and said, this is mine, I'm taking it. But in this game, guys that needed to have games, guys that needed to have showings, went out and did just that. And this was probably feels so good for a guy like Aatu Räty. He was 6-0 in the faceoffs after the first period, as you pointed out, but being able to be involved in the game, being noticeable, and noticeable for the good reasons. We're not sitting here talking about, why aren't we talking about Aatu Räty? We're talking about him because he was effective in the game and he did exactly what the coaching staff wants him to, and that's win faceoffs, that's be responsible, a couple shots on net, was able to score a goal, be involved in on plays, hit the post as well.
Yep.
So that's another, obviously, a shot there, a shot attempt. But I think this was a good showing for him, and hopefully hopefully something that he can build on for if he does play on Friday, which I think he will.
Irf, look at that screen. Elias Pettersson's second star. Like, I'd have to go back and do inventory.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Like, how many times was he in the stars on Rinkwide last year? Was it double digits? I'm guessing it may not have been. So, again, I get it's preseason, but that's just a good sign right there. The goal, we talked about it, 4 shots on goal. I thought he was fully invested from the outset here. And look, he's had an okay camp. Like, there were moments in training camp in Penticton, and again, there were a couple of moments the other night against Seattle, but people don't want to hear about moments when you're paying the guy what you're paying him. And so this was a big step forward for Elias Pettersson. Gets the goal, and then he gets the second assist on the Quinn Hughes goal. I thought that one was going to round out the scoring, but no, wait, there was more. That was the 7-1 goal, and then Max Sasson with his second of the night did make it 8-1 in the final minute of play. But Elias Pettersson headmans the puck to Besser, and then Besser with a nice pass over to Quinn Hughes. So we got Petey as the second star, and there's Max Sasson, who, again, is in this battle right now. Waivers work against him because he can be sent down to Abbotsford. But showed in this hockey game, his calling card, when we talked about guys that really hadn't elevated, Max Sasson's all about speed. We've seen that certainly through the Calder Cup run last year out in Abbotsford. This guy's got NHL wheels, and the give and go that his first goal with Jake DeBrusk, like, he was flying up the ice. And even the second one had to hustle to get into open space. Arshdeep found him there with the pass, and Sasson finishes to make it 2 on the night. So, a couple of shots on goal as well. And he got the penalty going hard to the net, again, using his speed. So, I thought overall a really nice night for Max Sasson.
Yeah, building on obviously winning that Calder Cup, and knew he had to have a big summer of working out, getting ready, and, the fringe guys on this team knew that they had an opportunity, and Max Sasson's one of those fringe guys. Eventually, a numbers game might screw him over a little bit, but he's not a guy that's not going to be on this roster at some point this season. What he did today here against the Calgary Flames tonight is make his coaches think a little bit and make the decision makers and the people that are there say, okay, are we going to send him down on Thursday, or should we keep him around for Friday and maybe see kind of what happens there against the Edmonton Oilers, who will be coming to town on Friday night?
So those are the 3 stars. They were a presentation of Gretabar YVR. Once again this season, we are delighted to be partnering with the BC Mental Health Foundation for something we called Super Chats. And if you were with us last year, you know the deal here. But if you're new to Rinkwide, welcome. We're happy to have you as we ramp things up and get things going here. But you can make your comment, put it to the top of the queue here with a donation that's going to go to the BC Mental Health Foundation. This is in the YouTube live chat. And so if you got a comment, you've got a question that you want to ask us, suggestions for the show, whatever, hit us up with a super chat. And we'll make sure that we get your comments on the air here on Rinkwide. BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. We'll get to the stat that stands out here momentarily, and I like this one. I had to do a little research, but kind of tells you a little bit about last year, and who knows, maybe it's exhibition, but we did wonder, like, where are the goals going to come from? And then you see a night like tonight, and you think, all right, like, they weren't facing the Flames' best netminder, and this wasn't the full Calgary lineup, but it was mostly NHLers.
Yep.
I'm not expecting the Canucks to explode for this kind of offense often, but it was fun on this night. It would be fun if they're able to do it at any point here through the regular season. There's a couple other guys I want to talk to before we get to the stat, or talk about before we get to the stat that stands out. That Abbey line all played together. I thought Sasson was the best of the bunch. I thought Baines had his moments. He won the faceoff back to Myers on the goal that deflected off Kadri, and then a nice pass into space for Max Sasson there. The fact that those two guys were killing a penalty, now it was late in the hockey game, but still, we've talked about this, that if they earn NHL roster spots, it's not enough just to give a team 6 or 8 minutes at 5-on-5. Mm-hmm. Like, I think those guys both have to be thinking about the opportunity to kill penalties in the National Hockey League. So why not test them in a game like this one? And if I was rating the 3 of those guys individually as a line, and really all 3 of them sort of battling for the same spots here, I thought Sasson was the best of the bunch, followed fairly closely by Baines. A relatively quiet night for Linus Karlsson, and unfortunately for him, it's kind of been that way through the preseason. Now, he was the presumptive guy with the inside track coming into camp, and may still wind up making this hockey club. But to your point about, you just wanted to see him build. He was so good in the AHL playoffs, and you hope that that was going to be confidence building and momentum boosting. He's not a guy that stands out an awful lot, but I hope that there were going to be some moments here in the preseason. I thought this was maybe a little bit on a night where a lot of guys stepped forward. Let's just say that he was treading water, and unfortunately, in that case, you're falling behind a little bit. It wasn't a huge night or a banner night, I didn't think, for Linus Karlsson.
Yeah, and going into Friday's game, it's 3-4 guys battling for one spot, really. I don't think Jonathan Lekkerimäki is going to be playing for a fourth line spot on this hockey team. I think if he does, get into this lineup, it's going to be in that top 6 role. So you got Linus Karlsson, you've got Archie Bains, and you got Max Sasson. Drew O'Connor, where he's going to play. Ratu probably on this team because of what he can do, and that's obviously win penalties. And then you look at the rest of their lineup, guys like Kiefer Sherwood and Teddy Bluger kind of had their spots cemented where they should be. So it's an interesting roster battle because in the final 2 games, you've got 3 or 4 guys. One of them's already brought it. Now, who of the other 2 can go and bring it on Friday night? And I think that that's, a good competition to have. Competition's always great. I think Patrick Alvin, said before the preseason started that, we have competition within our group, and that's always what you want to see. And if you're Adam Foote and you're watching from above or you're looking at this again and you say, who's a guy that we know that can take that spot? And I think it's right now, as of tonight, you got to kind of lean towards Max Sasson, but who knows what can change in 48 hours.
Hey, I mentioned Super Chats. Hugo Mugo is in midseason form.
Yes.
He was with us all last year, and he's bringing it tonight. Team's going to be fun to watch this year. Thanks for another year of the pod. Looking forward to some real hockey, as are we. But we will be back on Friday with the preseason finale. We thought, why not? It's October now. Get a few preseason games out of the way. A couple of them, the one in Seattle was streamed only. The one in Abbotsford, same thing. So no, it's go time. And so this is the start of a new season here at Rinkwide. Irf's going to be in as my wingman for the bulk of the games, and then we'll rotate some of the other familiar faces, Harman Dial, Farhan Lalji, Patrick Johnson. Will be by on those nights that Irf is not here. But looking forward to it. Again, coming off the disappointment and the frustration that was last season, Canucks have done their best to turn the page, and we'll start to find out when the play for keeps next week, October the 9th, against the Calgary Flames, and then on the road into Edmonton, come back home for a Thanksgiving afternoon, a matinee game against the St. Louis Blues, and then they head out on a fairly lengthy road trip. So it's not an easy start to the season in terms of home road imbalance and just stacked. I think they were talking about it on the broadcast. There's a stretch where they play 7 games in 10 nights early on that. So you're going to need 2 goaltenders. You're going to need the depth, and we'll see. These battles will continue on Friday. Another super chat. This one coming from James. I kept saying Tocchet's system was stifling this team's offensive capability. Don't know Foote's system will win them more games, but will win more with the fans. And yeah, there may be something to that.
I have a question for you on that because, the listener brings up a great point of Tocchet system versus Foote system. Systems and structure and all that are words that we've heard a lot over the last few years. What type of game or what type of system, and have you seen it so far this season, Jeff? Like what you look at, what Adam Foote wants his team to play?
Well, from day one of training camp, it was so clear that they want to activate the defensemen and get them more involved in the offense. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is, the offense runs through him. But some of those other guys, look, Tyler Myers, even at his advanced age, still skates beautifully in a straight line. They can get up ice. Derek Forbort was up ice, for crying out loud, on the shorthanded goal here. We saw him the other night in Edmonton, the disallowed goal when he poked the goalie and the puck. And so I think you're going to see the Canucks try to attack with numbers and get the defensemen involved so that they can create some odd-numbered rushes. So I do think that's one of the things. Where Tocchet was all about puck possession in the offensive zone and not wanting to squander shots. That's why I said, I want to see Elias Pettersson shoot the puck. And so I think a night like tonight where he has 4 shots on 6 attempts, that's a step in the right direction. So I think there are some subtle changes just in terms of pressure in different places on the ice as well. And I think that will become clear to fans once they start to see this team play more regularly. But Foote was also pretty clear on the eve of training camp when he said, like, I don't want to be pigeonholed into, one style. Some of it's going to be dependent on the opposition. Some of it's going to be dependent on who's available and in the lineup. So to say that we've got the full book and the full read on Adam Foote's system, I mean, this is a guy that hasn't been a head coach at any level in 5 years. And the last time he was the one calling the shots, it was junior hockey. This is the big league. So, I think it's going to take a little bit of time here to fully grasp what Adam Foote is asking of his players. But, if he thought they played to the system here tonight, then bottle that up and roll it out again on Friday in the final preseason game against the Edmonton Oilers. All right, let's get to the stat that stands out. Stat that stands out is presented by the Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. It's no compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. You can drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone, and that's enough to get you from downtown to the rink, the grocery store, and then home to recharge. Seamlessly transitions to the from the electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. Plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. And right now, you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,800 down. It includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer. All right, the stat that stands out, 8 goals tonight. I have to keep reminding myself that we actually saw them score 8 goals. You can see it on the screen. 8 goals were more than the Canucks scored in any game last regular season. 6 was the high water mark. They were offensively challenged last year for reasons we don't have to relive or discuss. But, as they got to 6 and then 7, I was thinking, what was the top of the food chain last year? Well, it turns out it was 6. There were a couple of memorable ones in there.
Yep.
They beat Chicago twice with 6 goals. They beat Winnipeg. Remember they chased Connor Hellebuck late in the season. They scored 6 and lost in Columbus. And then they scored 6 in that crazy comeback where 3 of them came in the final minute of regulation time. So 6 provided some drama and a few stories. But, 8. I'd have to go back in the books even to find out the last time the Vancouver Canucks scored 8. I saw early on when the game got to 4-0 and people were like, this is avenging the 10-0 shutout loss in the preseason.
A lot of people were all over that.
To the Calgary Flames. We should mention, it was a fairly light night for Kevin Lankinen, even though the Flames outshot the Canucks 28-26. The hardest shot Lankinen took was from Jonathan Huberdeau there with about 2 minutes to go. And let's hope that Huberdeau's okay as he crashed into the Canucks netminder. But the only goal that Calgary scored tonight was offside by a mile. So in terms of onside goals, the Canucks actually win this one 8-0. But no challenges in the preseason. That's probably a good thing. This game didn't need to be extended. But there was no doubt. Now, I'm not really the only miscue for Lankinen. He kind of lost his post there and stumbled and then was down as Joel Farabee was able to push the puck past him. 30 seconds into the second period. It was 4-0 at the time, and then Calgary scores, and then the Canucks took a penalty, and I thought, really, is Calgary going to make this interesting? But they didn't. Spoiler alert. And the Canucks ended up scoring 2 shorthanded goals, Forbert and Sasson. Canucks went 2 for 3 on the power play. Calgary was 0 for 6 with the man advantage, but gave up the 2 shorties as well. So you win the special teams. Quite often you win hockey games. When you dominate the special teams, absolutely, you got to find a way to make it count. And even in preseason, Canucks win the special teams battle handily, and they win this hockey game by a score of 8-1. But those 8 goals, we said, the stat that stands out, brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers.
October 10th, 2023, they beat Edmonton 8-1.
Opening night, right?
Yep.
That was, Brock and his 4 goals on
laid
route to 40.
They laid the boot to the Oilers that night.
That's right. So, okay. Basically going back 2 years almost to the day.
They also beat San Jose.
Oh, yeah. They're 10, right.
10 that season as well.
So,
They scored a lot that year.
They did. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember those nights. I just, off the top of my head.
I got you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's good. That's teamwork. See?
There we go.
Yeah.
Right into it.
Exactly. Connor Garland got in his first preseason action. He was nursing something last week. He was supposed to play the Abbotsford game, didn't. Looked like he was going to go to Edmonton and play. He didn't, but he played in this one, and I thought played quite well. Ends up with 2 assists. Now he gets the second assist on the Pettersson goal, set up on that half wall on the other side, and he was retrieving. Petey kept missing the net, and Garland would scoop up the puck and get it back to Quinn, and around they go. Eventually it found the back of the net. So Garland got an assist there, and he also got an assist on the forward goal, the shorthanded goal. But I thought maybe his best play, when it was a 1-0 hockey game, remember Jonathan Huberdeau broke away, and Connor Garland, like, he had midseason hustle going, even in the preseason, and his first exhibition game at that. We know that the hustle, the motor's always going, and there was no let up there, but I thought that was a fine play. Like, he was able to disrupt Huberdeau, who really didn't even get a scoring chance away there. So, like to see Connor Garland. That kind of looked like the Connor Garland that we expect to be ready and shot out of a cannon when they start playing for keeps next year. Absolutely.
Fresh off signing his 6-year extension here in Vancouver on July 1st. And look, last year, Connor Garland, what did he have last year? He had 19 goals, 31 points. He had 31 assists. He had 50 points. I think that's probably the number again for Connor Garland, right around there. But like you mentioned, the numbers don't tell enough of the story when it comes to Connor Garland. And I think that anyone who's followed this team or has covered this team would know and would appreciate that this guy's been undersized his whole life, but he does not at all play like it. You mentioned the hustle play on Huberdeau. He'll take on anyone his own size. He goes to the net, goes to the greasy areas, not afraid of getting hit, not afraid of getting beat up. Also won a gold medal at the World Championships as well for Team USA. So Connor Garland's feeling pretty good about himself coming into the season. Glad he was able to get in on the action, but not only do that, make some plays as well, as we're accustomed to seeing.
Another guy that won gold at the Worlds was Drew O'Connor, who I think has skated really well. His last 2 games, the Edmonton game the other night, I thought was one of the most prominent Canucks. And here, again, making things happen. Had a shorthanded chance in the first minute of the hockey game. In fact, Pettersson took the early penalty. The Canucks were shorthanded. They didn't score on that one, but they did maybe set the tone for what was to come later in the hockey game. But I also thought that was the full Drew O'Connor experience, Irf, in that, the hands aren't at the same speed as the feet. The feet go, and I just wonder, like, he scored 4 goals after the trade last year. 1 was on a penalty shot in overtime. 1 was an empty netter. So 5-on-5, there wasn't a whole lot there, and I know he said all the right things. Ben Kuzma had a piece on him in the province. And, guys, they always say the same thing. Like, I worked on my offense. I believe there's more to give. I need to see it, though. I just... he can contribute as a penalty killer. He'll be a top 9 guy, I think, although maybe he'll shuttle between the 3rd and 4th lines. He's got the size. He's got the speed, as we talked about, but I don't know. Like, I need to see it before I believe that there's a whole lot more offense there.
Poor guy played 84 games last year.
He's tired.
He's tired. He's a tired guy. But no, I think when you look at the way that, Drew Connor goes and plays is... what you see is what you kind of get there. And I think that for him, that hard-nosed, hard-checking, really tough to play against big forward is his game. He's not the big power forward that's the Dakota Joshua. He's not going to go and get you as many goals and have the hands as he does. You mentioned sometimes the feet aren't going as the hands do. Dakota had those both. That's why he got paid what he did and eventually ended up, having to be traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
but
this guy's getting paid too.
Yeah,
he's got
it's
his
true.
2.5 for the next couple of years. So
I just don't think he's going to be the goal scorer. Maybe that's just not in his skill set. But for his game, tough, hard to play against. If needed to kill penalties at some point, maybe. But be that big body and be a guy that's a really tough and on forecheck. I think that's his key to success here.
Played 14 minutes and 18 seconds, had 1 shot on goal, but he did have 5 shot attempts. I don't remember him shooting the puck all that much, under 12 minutes at 5-on-5. So, I'm kind of curious where it all shakes down with him. I mean, I could see him given an opportunity to try to use the wheels in a 3rd-line capacity, but could also see him settling in sort of as a 4th-line guy, responsible 4th-line guy with Teddy Bluger and let those two kind of build some chemistry, because I think they'll be the first guys over the boards when it comes to the penalty kill. I mean, O'Connor's on this team, that much we know. It's just a question of ultimately where does he slot in. All right, we spent a lot of Rinkwide here looking at the forwards, but I thought from the outset before the puck dropped, I thought it was an interesting decision that Victor Mancini, who hadn't played the last two games, was in the lineup tonight and was the young guy playing with the five vets that probably are all going to be in uniform on opening night again. We'll see if Forbert came through this game fully unscathed. But, I think that's a vote of confidence to, like, if the Canucks were looking at this as, all right, we want to see what might be our top six guys a week from now, we're going to plug Mancini, who's had a fine preseason. The goals, sure, I mean, they're fun and you'll take them, but he's not there to score a bunch of goals the way he had in the earlier games in the preseason. This was more about settling into the kind of role that I think he would play, and we know what he can bring. But, we've heard the coaches as well say, like, sometimes he gets ahead of himself. They have to rein him in a little bit as he lugs the puck and tries to do too much. I didn't notice that tonight. I didn't notice him trying to do too much. I thought a fairly clean and confident game once again for Victor Mancini.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the word around him as soon as he's gotten here from the Canucks. He was always known as the other guy in the JT Miller trade, but for him to be able to come in here and to get playing time and to maybe have a shot at cracking this opening night roster. I mean, DPD is there, but that spot right there, that sixth defenseman is not cemented for anyone. I think they're going to carry 8, or at least for that long road trip, maybe even start with 7 defensemen. I definitely think that they're going to do that. Now, who's the other guy? And it might turn out to be a numbers game for Mancini and obviously DPD. But Mancini, has he done enough to earn his spot as an everyday NHLer? That's the question: is who does this coaching staff trust more to put in and night out? The name of the game is winning. And at some times, you're going to have to give guys a rest. There is cases where you're going to have to load management guys, but in the end, it's icing the best lineup that you feel that gives your team the best chance to win every night. Now, against an inferior opponent that you may think you're playing, you could see a Victor Mancini game, but against a team like maybe the Edmonton Oilers, maybe you want a guy that's a little bit more steady and you can, a little bit more calm in his own end.
Mancini doesn't figure in the scoring in this one, although he makes the defensive play and headmans the puck to Pettersson, who got it to Besser, to Hughes for the 7th goal. So I don't know that there's glory in a third assist on the 7th goal in a 8-1 hockey game, but just wanted to point out that was one of the plays that I made note of. He was trying to be physical in front of the net, got into it with Blake Coleman at one point, and I think Coleman has been around the block enough times that he didn't want to expend a ton of energy in the preseason, so that didn't really go anywhere after the whistle. But I just look at Mancini's night, 3 shot attempts, 3 blocked shots as well, and I've kind of led you down the path here. Who do you think led the Canucks in ice time in this hockey game tonight?
Victor Mancini.
Again, Forbert out. It was pretty close, but Mancini plays 22 minutes and 28 seconds. Quinn and Hronek and Marcus Pettersson were all in the 21-minute range, so spread out pretty evenly, and Tyler Myers at 19 minutes and 17 seconds. But again, I think that's a vote of confidence that the coaches just kept running them out there. Not as much pressure, obviously, in a lopsided game like this one, so maybe you're able to play a little looser and not worry about a mistake winding up in the back of your net. But again, I think it's been a fine camp in preseason, and I thought this was another step in the right direction for Victor Mancini. That may be it for him. We may see DPD and Willander or P.O. Joseph, or who knows what combination they'll go with on Friday when the curtain falls on the preseason against the Oilers. I want to tell you about the Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool. It is officially live now, and if you think you've got the hockey knowledge to go the distance, this one's for you. It's a game of elimination, strategy, and a $2,500 grand prize for the last fan standing. And here's how it works. You start with 2 lives. Each round, you pick one winner from the slate of NHL games. Here's the twist, though. You can only use each team twice throughout the entire contest. You get a pick wrong, that's 1 life gone. Lose twice, and you are out. Pool runs until there's just 1 person left standing, and that winner going to take home $2,500. So are you ready to outlast the rest? Sign up now at dailyfaceoff.com or hit the link in the show notes. May the best fan survive. The Vancouver Canucks certainly survived this one. They win it by a score of 8-1. They're now 3-2 in the preseason, and we know that individual results don't matter, but I think ultimately you want more wins than losses. If you're Adam Foote, you're trying to set the tone here. You want your team feeling good about itself. You want guys going individually, but you want the group collectively. That's more important. So, they've guaranteed themselves of a 500 preseason at the very least, and they're the home team on Friday. They got the Oilers coming in. McDavid and Draisaitl not playing down in Seattle tonight, so I would assume that means that those guys will dress here on Friday for the preseason finale for both sides, and it should be pretty darn close to NHL rosters, I think, both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other biggest thing, other than Höglander, obviously tough for him, is being able to get out of this preseason, relatively unscathed. I think that's probably the most important thing for both teams when they take to the ice on Friday. But there's also jobs on the line, not just for the Vancouver Canucks, even for the Edmonton Oilers. Guys are playing for roster spots. This is the difference of a lot of money for some of these players in these contracts. And so you're going to see, hopefully, the Canucks, 4 or 5 guys that are trying to earn a roster spot here for opening night go and give their best. But we do have Brock Besser audio, Jeff, if you want to hear from him.
Yeah, opened the scoring here tonight, as we said. Beautiful goal on the breakaway. Nice finish, pulled the trigger, made no mistake, picked his spot, and wired it. Here is Brock Besser, courtesy of the Canucks, after the hockey game.
Yeah, I thought we worked really hard tonight. We had a good game plan going into it, and we talked about our effort level and reloading hard and being aggressive, and I thought we did that well tonight.
2 goals on the power play, 6 penalties killed, and even a shorthanded goal tonight. What did you see from special teams?
Yeah, on the power play, I think we're getting in pretty good, and we're snapping it around and moving the puck quick. I think that's key, and then getting pucks to the net. So I think that's a positive and something to build on. And then on the PK, I think we're staying aggressive. We're staying in our structure and systems and working together and communicating. So it's worked well tonight, but we got to keep it going.
What does a win like this do in terms of just confidence as you head towards that regular season?
It should give us a lot of confidence. I think it shows that when we put the effort in and determination, I think it really shows what we can do and how the chances we can create out there. So I think it was a step in the right direction, and we got to build off it now.
And I got to ask Kevin Lankinen in net behind you. I mean, the confidence you must have in him.
Yeah. I think there's a couple times that he made some big saves where they could have maybe snuck back into the game, but he's been awesome for us, and no surprise there.
There you go, loose. Why not? Fun night of hockey, and he got the ball rolling. Goal and an assist for Brock Besser, who was in our 3 stars, and then Sasson. And when you think about who needed a bigger night, obviously a guy like Max Sasson, so we gave him the Rinkwide bump into the 3 stars. But do want the record to show that Brock Besser gets honorable mention, and at one point late in that hockey game was actually on our list.
He'll be figured. Well, he better be figured in the 3 stars if we're going to be talking about him, having a good season. And they're going to count on him, right? They're going to count on him. And I don't know what the number is. I haven't really decided in my head what the magic number for Brock's goal total should be this season. But the Canucks are going to need a lot of it. They're going to get some, hopefully from Evander Kane. Hopefully Jake DeBrusk can, get to that 30 goal plateau. Almost hit it last season. And then obviously the question mark, and it looked good tonight in Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, I mean, look, lots to like. And again, you got to park it and take the good out of it, and then line up and do it again Friday. And at that point, then the decisions come. So Monday at 2 o'clock Pacific time, that's when all rosters have to be into the National Hockey League. So management will have a couple of days over the weekend to sit down with the coaching staff and figure this out. But this is what you want. I mean, this isn't a Stanley Cup contending team, but it's clear. And I talked to Archie Baines at practice yesterday, and he said this is the most competition he has felt in a camp in his time with the Vancouver Canucks. And year over year, you want to keep bringing in guys that are going to push others. And unfortunately, a guy like Nils Åman, who's played 130 games for the Canucks over the last couple of years, he's been squeezed out because they've brought in guys that they think can do more, can contribute in different areas, and that's the sign of a healthy hockey team. It's unfortunate for Nils Åman, and I'm not saying that, in a pinch, they don't have a ton of depth at center. We may see him again at some point, but they've got guys now that have moved ahead of a player like Nils Åman, and I think that indicates that there has been some progress, certainly on the player development side, and the Calder Cup is proof of that. Yeah. That, again, I still have my doubts about whether it's Linus Karlsson or Archie Bains or Max Sasson over a full season, can they contribute? Are they going to be able to do enough? Is there going to be any sort of bottom line? Because for a guy like Bains, who has hustled here in the preseason, has dipped his toe in NHL water, he still only has 1 point in his limited time in the National Hockey League. There has to be a bottom line element, and this is a guy that's figured it out at every other level, and has been a high scorer. I know if he's in a fourth line capacity, that you don't have the expectations on him that maybe you would if he's playing higher in the lineup, but it can't be enough anymore for Archie Bains to be happy just getting that call and getting into the NHL. I mean, the paychecks are great, but is there enough in his game to be a full-time contributor to the Vancouver Canucks? And I still have some doubts about that.
Well, here's the thing for me, and I'll ask you this question. I'm going to ask you again on Friday night. Of those three guys, Linus Karlsson, Max Sasson, Archie Bains, are the Canucks comfortable enough being able to call one up and being like, okay, this is your turn now? Or would you rather have a guy, because all three can play, but can they hang at the NHL level? So would you be more comfortable doing that, or would you rather have one guy be a clear cut above the rest and be like, this is my position? Because it is a long season. It is a grind for those guys as well.
And two of them need waivers, and Sasson doesn't. And, yesterday at practice, they had 15 forwards, 5 lines, and Sasson wasn't one of them. And I thought, wow. But Brett McLean afterwards said, we told guys, there's too many bodies right now to run a full practice, so don't read into this. And sure enough, Sasson not only played, but he scored twice. So to go from sort of being on the outside looking into to getting in the lineup and making the most of it, it turned out to be a good 24 hours and forward progress for a guy like Sasson. Now, if you knew you could get them through waivers and have this sort of rotation and keep them hungry, I would be all for that. But, if any one of them, or certainly if Bains or Karlsson start in the NHL and produce and then you try to send them down, do they clear? I don't know. I think most organizations have guys like that already, but there would have to be a team out there that thought, no, this is a player that's a step above what we've got. We see him. We think that, there's more there. And I don't know. As we sit here right now, I don't know if Archie Bains would clear waivers. I mean, lots of players like him do, and he might, but there's only one way to find out, and so we'll see ultimately. But look, as I said, I thought Sasson was the best of the three, and then Bains, and then I thought a little bit of a gap to a quiet night for Linus Karlsson. But overall, there's just a lot of good for the Vancouver Canucks as they continue the evaluation process here. I'm not sure how or why Joe Labate ended up back in the lineup here after being put on waivers. Lots of people asking me on social. Now, on Monday, the Canucks said he was being placed on waivers for the purpose of being assigned to Abbotsford. He cleared waivers, but hasn't been assigned yet. And so I think in the preseason, there's sort of that gray area where, they kept him on the NHL roster. He's going to wind up in Abbotsford. I don't think Joe Labate is, a late entry into the Derby here to make this team.
I don't think so either.
But I think they liked his size and his physicality and his willingness to protect teammates and whatever the case. Joe Labate played in this hockey game, but that might be the last time we see him here in the preseason. Again, moving forward, without Höglander, there is a spot there. And ultimately we'll see who latches on and gets that opportunity. There were already battles for roster spots, and then Höglander out to 8 to 10 weeks. That's unfortunate for him, but it does create an opportunity elsewhere in this lineup. Hey, we told you on that season preview show that we did a couple of weeks back before training camp, and appreciate everybody that checked that out as we shook off a little bit of rust. But make sure you follow Rinkwide on social, and particularly make a point of subscribing to the Rinkwide YouTube channel. To this point, Rinkwide's always just been your go-to post-game live stream and podcast, but this season we're branching out a little. We're going to be posting far more practice and game day content from the rink, videos and player scrums, so if you miss anything at the end of the day, you know where to find it all. One-stop shopping for you. So hit subscribe and set your notifications so that you do not miss a thing. Also, some talk to Rinkwide, maybe taking the show on the road a couple of times this season. We got some plans to do a live show at a Canucks Army viewing party. And like we did in the playoffs a couple of years ago, pack our bags and cover the Canucks out on the road. Select road trips later on. We're not going to be out early on, but we're finalizing our travel plans. We'll let you know when and where we are headed. So, some exciting, I won't say changes, but just rounding out what we do. We're growing up before your very eyes here at Rink Wide Vancouver.
Absolutely. Great to get you out on the road. Makes our coverage that much better. And, really been enjoying the stuff that you've been doing from practices and games. And we come here and get to do it, every night as the season goes on.
So the next one is the last one as far as the preseason is concerned. That's Friday night, 7 o'clock start, Edmonton in town. Again, we expect big boys on both teams to be in the lineup. So looking forward to that. And, of course, we'll be on immediately after the final buzzer. And then when the season starts. And it starts on Tuesday around the NHL, and then there's games on Wednesday, including the Flames, who after they can come here for the Canucks home opener Thursday night, October the 9th, and we will hit the ground running and already looking forward to it. I'm tired of the preseason. Next year, it's only the 4 games. Cannot wait for that. But 5 down, 1 to go. As far as exhibition contests are concerned for the Vancouver Canucks. Max Sasson had a pair, as I try to recap all the goals from this one. Sasson with a pair, Quinn Hughes, Atu Ratu, Derek Forbert, Tyler Myers, Elias Pettersson with that one-timer, and Brock Besser got the party started 7 minutes into the hockey game on the breakaway. I guess as the Canucks get back to practice on Thursday, I think they're out at UBC, a lot of eyes will be on the goaltending position. Thatcher Demko taking a personal day yesterday. The team insisted that it was not an injury, and it's unfortunate that that's the spot that Thatcher Demko is sort of in now, that the club has to go to the lengths, but the minute he's not on the ice, people are automatically going to default that, he's hurt again. He's had a really fine camp in preseason. I think he's looked dialed and ready to go. So not going to pry, don't know the nature, but let's hope that everything's settled and sorted, and he is back on the practice ice on Thursday out at UBC, because I think the way it stands right now, he would be slated to go the distance on Friday as a final dress rehearsal for the regular season.
Yeah, and I think for a guy like Demko, and you mentioned the Canucks insisting it's not injury-related, it's personal, it's a day off, load management, or whatever it is, whatever you got going on, I think he's going to practice, obviously, and hopefully be ready to go here for Game 1 next week.
Well, I kind of think that we're ready to go, although we got the one preseason game left. So good start to the season. Appreciate all of your support. Again, we're just getting ramped up here, but great to see so many of you in the chat and watching on the various social platforms. So again, Rinkwide's back, baby.
We're back.
Here we go.
We're back.
And of course, last year, how much fun did that turn into? Who thought that we'd be doing Rinkwide into late June with the Abbotsford post-game run? So we'll be here. If a Canucks team is playing preseason, regular season playoffs, you know that Rinkwide's going to be all over it. But we'll call it a night there. 8-1, the final score. The Vancouver Canucks thump the Calgary Flames, bring on those Oilers to close out the preseason. Our thanks to the two Jacobs working behind the scenes, Jacob Lazar and Jake Fraser. And again, great to get you back in here. We'll do it on Friday night.
Absolutely.
That is going to do it for us here. The first of many Rinkwides this season. Thanks so much for checking out Rink Wide Vancouver.